Okay, let's do this. It looks like we are live right now. Live on YouTube. And that's great. I love YouTube. And we've been seeing the numbers go up and up and up on YouTube, but that's not why we do it. We do it because we believe students everywhere should learn English. And, it's not difficult for me. I have lots of years of experience of teaching, and I have taught students from around the world. I mean, thousands and thousands of students. So, it's not difficult for me to just come and help people and teach a little bit of English a couple times every week, right? So that's why I do this. Every Friday at 9 a.m. New York time, I go live on YouTube. Every Monday at 9 a.m. New York time, I go live on Facebook. And every Wednesday at 9 a.m. New York time, I go live on Instagram. So if you want to join the other live videos too, you should go to Instagram and Facebook and follow there. But, I think this format, this type of lesson where you write your comments in the chat and I answer your questions, and I do that a few times a week, I think that this format is good for just learning some basics about English, right? But everybody understands that they need to practice speaking if they really want to know the language, if they really want to be able to use the language, to speak the language. We need to practice speaking. Unfortunately, on YouTube, you cannot get practice speaking, right? Because you just see me and hear me. And I can't see you, I can't hear you, and you can't speak to me. So it's a problem. And that's why we have our speaking program called English Every Day, and you can join that on my website, krisamerikos.com. I'll send the link right here in the chat. So if you want to speak with me and other teachers every day, you can join that. Now, right now, today, and during this call or during this live video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer your questions. So right now, you can ask your questions in the chat, in the comments, and I'll try to answer them for you. Okay, here I see someone asked a question. What's the difference between shade and shadow? That's a good question. The difference between shade and shadow. Here's the difference. Actually, let me write it on the board, right? Because it'll be easier to see that way. So let me know if you can see what I write on the board, because I think that maybe the camera is backwards. Can you read this, or is it backwards? What do you think? Tell me. All right, I'll start writing this on the board and answering the questions there, like a good teacher. Okay, so the question was, what's the difference between shade and shadow? The difference between shade and shadow. All right, great. So the difference is that shade is just a place that's not in the sun. A place that's not in the sun. And a shadow is a picture that is created because of light, right? So, for example, right now, when I'm walking, you can see this dark area behind me, right? You can see that. On the board, you can see this dark area, right? You can see, oh, I have a hand here and I have one over here too, right? This dark area behind me, this is my shadow. This is my shadow. But when it's hot outside in the summer and the sun is very bright and you want to go somewhere out of the direct sunlight, that is shade. So yes, sometimes shade and shadow are the same thing, because maybe this dark area created by a tree, right? The dark area, it's a shadow because it's like the image of the tree from the light and the tree. We have the image of the tree. That's the shadow. But also, this dark area is not directly in the sunlight, right? So it is also shade. Another difference between these two words is the fact that shadow is countable, right? We can say one shadow, two shadows. Shade is uncountable. We just say the shade, in the shade. And we don't usually say there are many shades here. No, we say there is a lot of shade. Great. Great. So I see lots of comments coming in here. Okay, here's a good one. Mikel Leonardo says, what's the difference between did you ever and have you ever? So the difference is that have you ever asks about our experience in the past and how that is connected to now. So if I say, have you ever watched the film Shrek, the animated film, the cartoon Shrek? Have you ever watched Shrek? This means you watched it in the past, but now you have this experience. Now you have this experience, right? It's true now that you know about Shrek. But if I say, did you ever watch Shrek? Did you ever watch Shrek? Then this means that this event is only in the past. It's not about now. It's not connected to my experience now. It's just an action that I did in the past. Like you say, Kris, yesterday I watched a movie. And I say, oh, did you watch Shrek? Right? It's only about yesterday. It's not about your experience that you know this film already now, right? That's the difference. Great question, though. Great question. Okay, here's a good one. CB asks, what's the difference between specially and especially? I'm going to write this one on the board. What's the difference between specially and especially? Great. Okay, so the difference between these two words is that specially, it means that it's something that is special, right? It's from the word special, and it's about being special. But especially, it means that I did this thing on purpose. I did it for a reason. So, for example, I know that you like pink markers. So I bought this marker, this pink marker. I bought this pink marker specially for you. I bought it specially to give to you, right? But especially, it means, for example, it's like a good example of something. That's what especially is. So, for example, many people like cars, especially men. So it's like the best example of this thing, a better example, right? So my two examples here were, I bought this marker specially for you. And for example, many people like cars, especially men. Men especially like cars. So it's like more than others, or like this is a good example of it, right? I think you see the difference. Okay, here's a good one. Here's a good question from Farouk. Could you please explain the different meanings of the word just? Yeah, sure. And I love teaching about just. I just did it recently. Ha ha ha. English teacher joke. All right, so we have the word just. So one meaning of just it means simply. Simply, right? I'm simply asking you a question. I'm just asking you a question. Okay? Maybe you know the company Nike, and they say, just do it, right? Simply do it. That's all. Nothing more, right? Okay. The next meaning of just is only. And only, the next meaning of just is only. And only might be used in, for example, I just want some water. I just want some water, right? We could say that this is, I simply want water, or maybe this means I want water, I don't want milk, I don't want juice, I don't want anything else, just water. Only water, right? So that's another meaning. Sometimes just means not long ago. Sometimes just means not long ago. For example, I've just finished my homework. I've just finished my homework. And so as you hear, my example is with present perfect. I have just finished my homework. But this is a big difference between American English and British English, that usually when American people are talking about something that happened not long ago, they will use past simple. I just finished my homework. But when British English speakers speak about something that happened not long ago, usually they will use present perfect. They will say, I have just finished my homework. So this is a small difference between American and British English. And then there's one more meaning of just also. Just also means fair. Like, he is a just man. He is a just man. He is a fair man. And so here we can see the word just is an adjective, like in the similar to the noun justice, right? Maybe you know this word justice, to get justice, to be just, to be fair. We could say he is not a just man. He is just a man, right? So the position of the word will change if it's an adjective or if it's an adverb. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Okay, here's another one. Pranvera asks, what's the difference between glad and pleasure? I'm going to go back to the board for this one. What's the difference between glad and pleasure? Well, the first difference is that glad is an adjective. Glad is an adjective. And pleasure is a noun. This is the biggest difference here. This is the biggest difference. Glad is an adjective. Pleasure is a noun. What does that mean? That means that we need to add a noun after glad. For example, a glad event, a glad man. Usually we say, I am glad, right? And glad tells us more information about I. So about the word I in the sentence, about me. So we could say, I am glad. This adjective gives more information about the noun, the person, the place, the thing. But pleasure is a noun. It's a thing that we experience. If you want to change pleasure to an adjective, then it should be pleasant. It should be pleasant. This is an adjective. This is an adjective. And so we can say he is pleasant. It is a pleasant day. So what's the difference then between glad and pleasant? Glad is how I feel. Glad is like happy. But pleasant, it's about something else. It's about an object or a thing, maybe an experience, maybe the whole day, or maybe a person. And it means that it makes us feel positive, right? So glad, it's just about happy and how I feel, but pleasant, it's more about like something that's positive in general, and it pleases us, right? Pleasant from the verb to please, to make someone happy. So yes, they're very similar. Okay, great. I'm going back to the comments now. I see a lot of them. Okay, great, great, great. I'm going to answer one more question today. And just remember that the next live call that we're going to do here will be next Friday, 9 a.m. New York time. But on Monday, we will do a live call on Facebook at 9 a.m. New York time. The group on Facebook is called English with Kris Amerikos. And then on Wednesday at 9 a.m. New York time, we will go live on Instagram. And the account there is Kris Amerikos. So you can keep joining these live calls and, learning something small from me each time. But you can also join our live lessons, right? This is just a live call. It's just a live video on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. But every day, right now we have about 16 lessons every day that you can join, and you can speak. I can hear you, you can hear me, I can see you, you can see me, and we speak to each other, and I can correct your mistakes, and I can help you with pronunciation. So if you want to join that, we have a 50% discount right now. Our program is called English Every Day. There's the link. And you can join and you can start speaking with us because the next lesson is starting very, very soon. In just a few minutes. Okay, great. Let's see. I'm going to take one more question here. Let me find a good one. Okay, here's one. What's the difference between I will, I'm going to, and I'm gonna? Great question. Great question, Elena. So the difference is that I will and I am going to, these are different forms of the future, and we use them for different reasons. We say I will if we are making a promise, if we're offering to help someone, a promise like I will love you forever. Offer to help someone like, that looks heavy, I'll help you with it. We use will when we're making a prediction, like in 2025, the world will end, for example. And we also use will when we make an instant decision. Like you're at a restaurant, you're like, I'll have a beer, for example. So for these 4 reasons, we use will. But we use going to when we talk about plans. We use going to about plans, like next year I'm going to travel around the world. Or about predictions, like in 2025, the world is going to end. We can use both, will and going to, about this kind of thing, right? Prediction. Gonna is just a short form of going to. It doesn't have a different meaning. It's the same. All right. So gonna and going to are the same. They're about plans and predictions. Will is about promises, offers to help, predictions, and instant decisions. Thank you, everybody, for joining this live call today. And I hope that I see you next time. Also, I hope that I see you all in our live lessons, because the next lesson is starting in just a few minutes. You can join. It's 50% off right now, and you can try it for a month. If you don't like it, you can just stop anytime. Just tell us, hey, I want to stop, and that's it. So I hope to see you at the next lesson. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.